teach. And I'm back because I'm an idiot. So, today I'm going to be going over for you guys some commentary for the episodes that have audio errors in them. This is going to be primarily for episode 1, Meet the Crew, for the Fate of Nephallia campaign that I am running with my D&D group on Twitch. Mainly for YouTube, mainly for people who wish to watch it. Hopefully I can get more viewers. And when they come back to watch this, they'll have a little bit of information to go back. So it'll be played in the background as I go through and I talk. And you guys get to hear one side of the conversation with the girlfriend in the background. Desktop can be heard. Everything should be fine. And let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure, go ahead and tune out and miss everything.
Okay, let's turn this down a little bit.
No, but...
So, basically what happens at the start of this, the banter between me and my group, I was saying that we were going to start with one member of the party.
Your character won't know their backstory.
Which is...
You need to know the play.
Which is Ish. We start with Captain Ish at the beginning of the module, or at the beginning of the campaign. And the rest of the players were like, oh, well, if we're starting with one person at a time, I'm just going to tune out. And this tuning out was a no-no. They still need to know the character backstory, even if their characters themselves do not know it.
Players that you're playing with. Why is it not? What the fuck?
Ignore me, I'm having technical difficulties getting everything set up properly, as this is the first game, and I was still fairly new. Still am fairly new at this.
See if they can see it.
We do figure out, yes, that we can see the stream with no issues whatsoever.
But I don't remember my Twitch login.
We're just basically sitting here trying to work through some technical difficulties at the beginning of the stream. So apologies for this. I'll go ahead and speed this up a little bit that way.
Give me a hot second.
What's the time difference between a hot second and a cold second?
Enough.
Get to hear some banter between me and the girlfriend here. Some of the players are basically at least telling me that they're having troubles logging into the stream, and that I have nobody consistently being able to tell me that they can either hear the players nor that they're actually there for the stream. So, if anyone's interested,
Okay, you see, but you can
while they're in chat or if they read YouTube and want to become a moderator on my channel,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Dungeons and Dragons.
let me pause that real quick. If you guys want to become a moderator for the stream, please reach out. Let me know if you've been following for some time or you're just interested in just being there for every session. Shoot me a message. I would greatly appreciate it. Being able to get somebody there to be able to tell me if there's any technical issues that I'm actually experiencing before the game gets an hour and a half in, almost 2 hours into the stream, without realizing that other players can't be heard very well or at all, would be greatly appreciated. But the stream's about to start, so let's go ahead and click play.
Yes, this is going to be the first session of this new campaign, which I am calling the Fate of Nephallia. Now, this is up for debate, and it can change. And when you guys finally become a solid party, you will be deciding a party name. Well, you'll be doing that in character, but for now, I bring your attention to one individual.
No. I'm gonna beat you.
Surprisingly, we actually start with Zap,
This individual is...
the Goblin. I go through and read their backstory, which briefly describes who the character is and where the character is at in their life. So let's go ahead and start that.
a green-skinned, short, sharp-toothed goblin from the city of Gobblecar. No, look at the map.
I can't. Yeah.
Reload it.
I think it's because our characters aren't in there.
There.
You have to have a, like...
There you go.
There.
Okay, so, as I was saying, we start with this individual, a goblin. Zap was a street urchin from the city of Gobblecar, with no recollection of his family or clan. His earliest memories of him were on the street, hands outstretched, begging for spare change, trying to steal the wares of wealthy merchants. He was incredibly young but quick-witted, and soon learned from passing merchants and blacksmiths in his local markets the valuable items that he could steal to sell for money. Zap stole to survive in the harshest market in Gobblecar, the square marketplace. One day, Zap, after a long, successful day of pickpocketing, decided to return to his hideout. Truly a trash pile, but it was home. He witnessed a shadowy figure dragging a random goblin down his alleyway. The figure then promptly accused the terrified and confused goblin of stealing what Zap had accrued that day. Without a second word, the figure had slit that goblin's throat. Zap then thought to himself, just another lifeless corpse to add to the square. I need to figure out something fast. Then, the individual turned on Zap. Pest! Where is the money you stole from me? Zap was confused and scared, and knew that he had to do something quick, so he took advantage of the situation. Zap then built up the courage, approached the man, and with hands behind his back, trembling, the man noticed Zap staring at him with a curious look. Zap pulled his hand from behind his back, and offered the man the jewels that he had stolen. I found these. Does this help? Please? He told me to hold these things for him. I think they belong to you, he said. But come with me, and we'll see what we can do with those sticky fingers of yours. The man took Zap under his wing, and then began Zap's training in the art of thievery, theft, and assassination. Zap awoke one night to the sound of galloping horses. They were approaching the wagon that he and his new master were traveling in. His master was already up, with his crossbow in hand, and quietly told Zap to hide. Zap did as his master instructed, and witnessed the two riders in plate dismount their horses, and address his gnomish master. The taller of the two said to his master, Bill Manson, you will come along with us, along with your grinning little monster, to answer for the crimes committed in Thess, or die in a pool of your own blood. Bill then shouted run, aimed his crossbow at the individuals, and shot. Zap ran, and the only thing that he can remember from that night is the sound of an explosion, and a red mist falling around the headless body of his old master. And he did not look back. It is night. Zap has been running for quite a while. They were far from the city of Thess, and he didn't remember much. The storm clouds begin to roll in. As it begins to drizzle, Zap pulled the hood up over his head to hide his figures, as goblins were not the most common thing in civilized lands. Every time he closed his eyes, the flashing memory of his master's headless body collapsing to the ground is all that was imprinted on his mind. It took him several hours, but eventually he found himself back at the inn they had stayed in previously, while they were doing their business in Thess. And this is where we start. Zap, you approach the building. The lights on the inside are still lit, but you can remember very vaguely the name of the individual that runs this establishment. You remember her name being Carp, just like the name of the inn, the Bottled Carp. We begin now. Zap, what would you like to do?
So basically, what Zap is wanting to figure out is, are there any windows that he can peek into the inn from? At this time, he basically takes a look inside, seeing that there are two patrons inside. One, farmer, commoner, sitting at the closest table, and another hooded figure at a far table over there at the top side, over here. He then proceeds to believe that he's still being chased quite actively, and in the long run, he's going to choose not to go inside of the inn to interact with Excelia Carp there, and instead he is going to flee over into the tree, and he's going to climb up and hide there for quite a few hours while the rain comes down. Eventually realizing that he is safe for the time being, he will find himself heading inside of the inn. Let's go ahead and unmute.
Okay.
Apologize for the
Go ahead and make a hide check.
sounds of eating.
It should be on your character sheet.
So, some of the troubles of people learning a new system,
No, so if you go to
and
your character sheet, go on the left-hand side, you'll see a bunch of check marks with skills.
man, it's pretty annoying. So basically what we're working through at the moment is just how to get him to realize where the stealth is on his character sheet. He heads over to the tree, and he begins to hide in there, waiting several hours before coming out.
You don't have anything but your weapon and the clothes on your back. You get up into the tree, and you sit down on a branch as the storm begins to thicken. How long would you like to wait there? 30 minutes pass. The storm begins to pick up. The rain has increased in size, and it's coming down slightly heavier than it was before. But no one comes. No one was truly that close to you. You ran like your life depended on it. Okay, the front door is here.
At this point, he's going to realize that he wants to enter the inn, and he's going to be addressed by Excelia Carp there. She's going to ask what he returns to the inn for and where his master is. He's going to try to understand why she's asking these questions of him. He's going to do a insight check to figure out if she is with the individuals that killed his master and are still chasing him, or if she's actually truly a friend of his master's. So they're going to go into the back room here, and they're going to discuss. He first asks a couple of questions and other information of individuals having stopped by. She tells him no, that no other individuals managed to stop by and ask any questions. They know that she knows that they had left earlier that day and headed out a good almost half a day's travel before they decided to rest. He's then going to ask any information and ask for supplies, basically, in the end there. He's going to investigate, insight. He's going to try to gain information, whether she's a friend or foe. He ends up realizing that she is a friend and that she used to be part of a venturing party with his old master. She's basically going to step out, fill out her ledger, where he's going to be given a room for the night, and he's going to finally be able to relax. Of course, this map is not perfect, but there are stairs over where you saw that blue click just a second ago. And then I'm going to take him to the second floor here. Upon getting to the second floor and turning off the dynamic lighting so everyone can see, the other two patrons will be to bed later that day, but he's going to be given that first room there. He's going to stealth around a little bit before making it into the room, but he's going to go ahead and set up a trap. He wants to set up anything that'll warn him of individuals trying to access the room, and he also locks the door, and he manages to fall asleep for the night. With this, here, let's go ahead and unmute real quick.
Okay. Before you leave, as you were approaching the door to unlock it, you begin to hear a heavy wagon pulling up outside.
So,
You stop.
he awakens the next morning, and he's about to leave his room when he begins to hear the sound of a heavy cart pulling up.
And listen for a moment. A heavy wagon pulls up. You stop and listen for a second, and you hear two heavy sets of feet hit the ground and the clink of metal clinking together. They begin to approach the tavern, and immediately you hear the front door slam open. Hi, this is orders from Thess itself. I'm looking for a fugitive. Who is the owner of this establishment? Miss Carp looks up and she goes, "That would be me, and welcome to the Bottled Carp. I am..."
Two individuals enter the inn. It's the same individuals that killed his master the previous night, and they begin entering with an air of arrogance and kind of best way to put this is kind of an air of superiority. They have a right to be here, and they are looking for fugitives of the city of Thess. They're far enough outside the boundaries of Thess that truly their laws do not extend this far, but there's no reason to pick a fight with individuals from Thess, especially these shady types. They come in asking questions about the goblin that is currently staying, Zap, and they're going to ask for any information. Excelia Carp manages to tell them that the only patrons that she has had or has is these two, the ones that are in here, but she did have another patron that left earlier this morning, but wasn't a green-skinned individual. They proceed to ask for more information.
This triggers something. You remember hearing the name Cindaria. Cindaria was always the code name that your master had gone by whenever he went somewhere and talked to an individual that he knew quite well. Yes, he was a half-elf, and he left maybe 3 hours ago. Well, that information might help, but I'm still going to be looking around. That's perfectly acceptable. Do as you see fit. Good. You
So,
stay and guard the door. I'm going to head upstairs.
What's happening now is she basically tells him that Cindariel is the code name to his master, a half-elf individual who left previously the morning. Of course, these individuals do not know of this code name, but Zap does. And with this individual coming upstairs, he's trying to figure out the best way to go about sneaking out and getting away from these individuals.
Okay. Yeah, so you take a look outside the window. There's a bunch of Bracken up here. Forgot that their name was showing. I'll go ahead and change that. You see a bunch of individuals gathered around the center here. Do you still want to attempt to go out the window?
So he attempts to go over to the window and see if he can make his way out.
He hasn't quite looked up. He's more looking down in order to avoid tripping over some things that have been left on the ground. Okay, so you're going to attempt to go into the other room across the way.
Okay. So basically, what he's doing right now is, upon hearing that the individual's going to be checking the upstairs, he decides to leave the bedroom and stealth his way across to the master bedroom of the inn, to Excelia Carp's room, where he enters.
It's unlocked, and you enter the door with no issues, as he's finally made his way to the first split-level stair, where the first platform, and he begins to make his way up the next set of stairs. When he gets to the top of the foyer, there is a window there. Okay. Yeah, you go ahead and manage to get the window open. There's nobody around that you can see, and you manage to make your way down very easily. You're now at the back of the building.
So, as you see, he's made his way outside of the room.
The cart is over here. Yep. Okay. You were stealthed in the tree. It takes some time. About 20 minutes later, you can hear the muffled crash of something inside of the tavern. Somebody screaming, "Of course, there's nothing here! If you see anything, by wench, you will report this." And they storm out. It doesn't take long for the individuals to get on a cart and begin heading out again. And then they're gone. I see you evaded capture. Well, that's good to hear. No need to worry. But I see that you don't have anything on your back. I have a few things, but make sure.
So he basically comes in worried of them returning or having sold him out. She basically tells him that there's nothing to worry about. Though he is low on supplies, she is going to give him a couple essentials to be able to get going. She then proceeds to tell him that he needs to be traveling with haste and that he should ensure that he has everything out of the room upstairs. He's going to thank her, and she's going to tell him that she's going to need a few minutes to gather the things and that he should head upstairs. And she will have everything ready for him when he returns.
Yeah. So you're gonna roll insight? You're gonna roll insight to see if she's gonna lie, or if she's lying. No, she's been completely truthful. She also happens to know the name Simbario, which matches up with a pseudonym that your master used to use whenever going to somewhere he was comfortable, but she doesn't seem to have any knowledge of it.
This is when, as a DM...
He's all over the place. He's quite a crafty one here. He's adventured to Zenithkar and Goblikar, to Thess, to the elven kingdoms of the High and Moon Elves. He's been a lot of places, I assume. He's got quite a few tales, back before you were traveling with him, and even after. But enough of stories. You must be on your way. Those individuals might be back when they realize that the name that I've given them doesn't really match up to anybody nearby.
So, what she does is she tells him a little bit about her master, how he used to be an adventurer and how he's done many adventures through the areas of Goblikar, Zendikar, not Zendikar, but Goblikar, Zenithkar, and, of course, Thess and other areas. She tells him that she truly knows the individual, but it's just a coincidence that the pseudonym matches up with his old master. And then she informs him that the individuals who came looking for him might return when they realize that there is no one in the nearby area that goes by that name.
Okay. You make your way back up to the room. And upon entering, you notice something sitting on the bed. It is a strange golden tube on the bed. Okay. You grab the case, and it begins to heat up. It's not hot, more than warm. You slide the scroll case open, and inside you see a reflective gold surface, as though the parchment inside was made entirely out of a thin film of pure gold. Slightly glowing, you start to notice writing appear on the parchment. At first, it's indecipherable. Strange runes flash across the page, things that you've never seen before it changes into Goblin. It then reads, "You have been chosen by the powers that be. You may not know it now, but your destiny has but yet to begin. In the lands to the east, where the earth has been sundered from its roots, a land filled with fire and death, you will travel in haste. Fear not, for everything has been prepared for you. In 5 suns and 5 moons, you will gather at the foot of the gates to a long-forgotten kingdom. Follow the path of the moon, and all will become clear. Trust in the guidance given to you, and you will meet others intertwined in your fate. Trust in each other, and trust in yourself." The runes begin to fade off, and the sheen seems to die a little, but it's still warm. It still feels alive. Nope, there's nothing else in the room. Perfect. You make your way back downstairs. You can see a large knapsack on the bar, and standing behind it with a smaller sack, she seems to be counting coins into the bag. She goes, "Well, I was about to come grab you, but I see you've made your way back down. I have some advice for you before I give you some things to get you on your way. I need you to avoid the roads. Travel in the forest as much as you can, and you must head towards the sea. You will find a ship called Goat's Head in the port. Get on that ship and begin to head out. Your passage has already been paid for. Do not worry about that, my friend. Now, some supplies to get you by, and something special you might enjoy inside the bag, as well as a few coins to get you by. She hands down the bag and a sack of coins. Remember, avoid the roads. They're not going to be searching the forests too deep yet. They want to catch you out while you're traveling. Now, my friend, go and run as fast as you can. Okay, so you begin to head out. You begin to run south first into the forest, then you begin to head east towards the main city of Thess. Why you're heading into Thess, where they're looking for you, you do not know. But the advice that you were given, you probably should follow. You begin to head that direction. It takes you only a day and a half to reach the city of Thess. You enter through some of the ductways that you and your master have used before to travel uninvited through the city as you make your way to the port, as you look for a ship called the Goat's Head. You find the Goat's Head preparing to get underway, and you can hear the sound of song coming from it. An individual stands at the bottom of the walkway heading up to the ship, and he looks down, and he goes, "Who are you?"
Well, apologies about that,
Interesting.
guys.
Who sent you?
Seems like someone's phone's going off in the house, so let me go ahead and pause this. Perfect.
Understandable. You're going to get on the ship, and you're going to head down to the bottom. Stay out of the way, but you will have free passage. Enjoy your time upon the Sea Goat trading vessel. And that is where we end you for now. Where we pick up next is going to go and be... Come on, play. Both playing at the same time?
I just heard one.
Okay, well, you've got one now.
I don't hear anything now.
You don't hear anything? Ha 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 ha, it's so fun. Okay, the next individual you pick up is... The first words it heard is... It's cute-ish. The first word it heard is going to be the thing it remembers the most. We pick up on a ship sailing through the sea, known as the Dragon Chaser. A pirate vessel, and they are chasing a dragon back to its lair. This dragon, wounded, fearing for its life, and fearing for its kin. It roars, a burst of lightning shooting into the sky. The storm clouds begin to roll in, and standing on board the deck, the captain. "Keep on, boys! We are going to catch her, and we're going to take our prize. Or we'll go to Davy Jones at the end of the day. Onwards!" The ship continues, the rolling waves tossing the ship back and forth as it begins to chase further and further into the storm. A few hours pass, and they come across an island, where the dragon flies to the mountain in the middle. Yes. I know. Calm down. There. Now you can see the pirate ship. They dock, pulling out the dinghies. They begin to head ashore, and they travel into the island and head towards the cave of that dragon. It takes hours, grueling travel through the storm, but eventually the crew find themselves in the cave. The dragon roars, guarding its prize, but the massive numbers of pirates coming through only look to weaken it. It takes its leave, fearing for its life more than its treasure. It leaves behind a bounty that can pay kings for a lifetime. And the only thing that was truly of value that this captain was looking for was an egg. He had grabbed it, and he had taken it back to his ship. We skip a few years now, to current day. You hear the sound of sloshing water. The ship is anchored, deep at sea, and immediately, climbing on board in broad daylight, is a white-scaled lizard with a rapier at its side. Scimitar at its side. He scrambles up the side, quite adept by now of climbing up the side of a ship while it's out to sea. He jumps on the deck, and immediately all eyes and the sea shanty stop, turn towards him. "Oh man, not again! How did you make it back this time? Damn it, Captain! Captain Ish, it's back! Ish is back! Ish is back, yes! Captain, come on, come out! Wake up! Captain Ish is back! Yes, I know. I don't know how he made it. He swam again. Yes, we're only a day out. Yes, we moored for the night. Okay, come on. Ish, how did you make it back this time?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
There's water and some land. And
We left you in Menzo Berenzan. How did you make it back? You're crazy. This is the 16th time you've done it. Man, for those who do not know, Ish is a kobold, and Ish was the thing that had hatched from that egg. The pirates had managed to hatch that egg that they thought was a dragon. They thought they were going to be filthy rich, and instead, they got a white-scaled lizard that had crawled out. This lizard had the stupidest grin on its face when it had hatched, because it was more than happy to have finally hatched. Well, this lizard has a crafty little trait that allows it to always find its way home. Like most dragons are able to find its lair, Ish has a habit of being sold for quite a few coin. He's quite handy at handling ships and following orders to the letter if the letter is a bit skewed. So, time and time again, the pirate crew would sell Ish to the highest bidder, and for some reason, always finding his way back to the ship. Ish, the very first time he'd been sold, was inside of a small town that they had stopped to port for the night. What had happened is the ship had taken off, leaving Ish behind. Ish was confused. Ish had never left the ship the 2 years that he had been on it. And so, he decided to head in a random direction. This direction so happened to lead him to a cave, and this cave took him into the Underdark. Now, for those that are crafty enough and skilled enough to traverse the Underdark, rivers and paths make shortcuts to anywhere you are going. You could get to where you're going faster than most people would be able to, and Ish has an unnatural trait for finding the right tunnel to do so. So, heading in, and taking a log of mushroom tree, pushing it in the river, and deciding to just ride it through, found himself at another exit of the Underdark. He left, heading up back to the surface world, and there he found himself on the outskirts of another town. This town, another port city, led him directly back to the piers, where he was expecting his ship, and lo and behold, there it was. He'd walked back on board the ship, and the crew did what they began to always do. Ish, how did you get back here? Where did you come from? We sold you! Oh man, Captain! He's back! Ish is back! And thus began the ritual of Ish's return. Ish, says the captain as he walks out. You bloody thing, you're back again, and you swam this time. How did you find us?
I just knew Captain.
It's to be expected, can't get rid of the bloody thing. Welcome back to the crew. You know what you got to do.
It's nice to be back.
Good. Your bed is still available down there. Do not worry, we'll not get rid of it.
You know better at this point.
Ah, yes. Good luck, Ish. If you need anything from me, crew, you know where to find me.
Can I have a hug?
No. No, you can't. I'm sick of your hugs. But yes, get over here, you stupid lizard. He embraces you, picks you up, and tosses you towards the wheel. And he walks back into his room. They begin to chant, and begin the shanty anew, as they begin to sing, as the ship pulls up anchor and takes off. What would you like to do?
Go back in my bed.
After a long swim, you're probably tired.
Yes.
You return to your cot, and you pass out.
Wouldn't it be a hammock?
It's a hammock, but a cot would work as well. You're tiny. You can make your bed on a sack of flour. The ship begins to move again, and it is late when you awaken next. You had good dreams, as you always do when you return to the ship. For some reason, the friends that you made and left behind will always stay with you. But the ship is where home is, and the ship is where you return. You smell the sound, or you smell the smell of cooking
I
food.
smell the sound of
The sound of cooking food.
That sounds like bacon.
Yes, it does sound like bacon. It smells like egg and bacon, and it smells like strange, spoiled flour. But you know what this means. The chef has made you food, and it's time to eat. You head up, and your favorite person in the whole world, Chef Botaski. Welcome back, Ish. You're hungry, I assume?
Of course, always.
There you go. He hands you a large plate and goes, I assumed you would be eating when you were up, so I prepared your food for you. What brings you back to the ship this time, Ish? What friends did you make?
All of them?
All of them, I see. So you swam, but what did you do before?
Well, there was land this time.
Ah, land. You
Yeah.
don't say. Anything new and exciting? Any new gifts? Treasure? Trinkets? Nothing?
No, not this time.
Pretty boring, if I say so myself. Usually you want to bring back a trinket or two, especially if we're already out to sea. Well, Ish, you're probably tired. Eat, go back to sleep, awaken in the morning. We hit port in a few days. We're traveling to Boranda.
Rhonda?
Yes, a little small port town. You know it. We'll be there soon. Rest. You're going to need it.
Are you gonna try to sell me again?
Always. That's the captain's way. Free coin and you always return. It's the best way to make money, in my opinion. You finish eating. He doesn't ask any more questions, but makes you a second helping. As usual, you eat it. Always scarfing it down, always seeming to inhale it more than
Is
eat
anybody
it.
else eating around?
Nope, everyone else is asleep or working the ship. Half the crew is awake at the moment, or a third of the crew is awake at the moment, as usually is the 3-hour shifts, or the 8-hour shifts that they do in threes. You head back down, crawl back, and you head to sleep.
I just woke up.
You did. But for some reason, you're extremely tired, and you must sleep and regain your strength.
What strength?
The next morning, you wake up, but your eyes are slow to open, and you feel something as though it's laying on top of you. The last time you remember this feeling was a cat. Whatever cats are. Little furry creatures is all that you thought, and they tasted delicious. But it does. It feels like a cat on top of you. As your eyes slowly open, you see a gold, tubular object on top of you.
Ooh, shiny.
It is. It's warm, and it's comforting.
I'm gonna grab it and curl around it and then turn over and go back to sleep.
You curl around it, and you turn over, and you return to sleep. It isn't until noon that you awaken, midday, as the chef comes in and goes, "Oh, you stinking lizard, wake up! Wake up, come on! Come on, get up!"
Kicking me?
Yes, he's kicking you, as he's like basically shoving you with his foot. He doesn't want to lean over and actually try to use his arms because that's too much energy for him. He's done with his shift and he's about to sleep, and he wants you to get up. Come on, wake up.
How bad it is, foot?
Nope, not this time. And he's going to flip your hammock over, dumping you onto the floor. Nope, come on, up. Captain wants you working.
Fine.
Handle the sails, up the crow's nest. You know where you belong. Take it with you. I don't know where this new eyeglass came from, but take it with you. Come on, get up.
I'll get him.
He was about to begin rolling you around on the floor, still curled around the tube, but you finally get up. You look a little haggard, but you're rested. It's just a bit groggy this morning. A mist has even seeped down to this level. It's misty out there, and you're gonna have a hard time seeing, which is why you've got crow's nest duty today. Go, get.
I'll shove the gold thing in my pants and scurry up.
Gotcha. He's gonna crawl into the rack right above you, or the cot, or the fucking hammock right above you.
So we're best buddies.
Yes.
We even sleep together.
Yes. You sleep beneath him, and he wakes you up when he's done with his day. You head out, and you head to the main deck. They're singing their sea shanties as normal, and it's very easy to pick up. You do hum to it. But
Can kobolds hum?
they can hum. But it's more of like a hissing hum than it is like an actual like vibration of their chest. One of the crew members goes, "Ish, hey, handle the mainsail."
I'll salute him really jerkingly, as if I don't know what I'm doing.
He's gonna sigh. Damn it. You know what? Just go up to the crow's nest. I don't want to deal with you now. You begin to scurry up to the crow's nest.
These are my kobolds are my favorite race.
You scurry up to the crow's nest. You can see another member of the crew. He looks and he goes, "Ah, my replacement, finally here. You rest enough, Ish."
Ish.
Yeah. It gets old, but it never gets old. He goes, "Eyeglass."
To my pants, can you see it?
He's holding out the eyeglass and he's like, "Ah, you've got your own." He closes it, puts it away, and he begins to climb down. By the way, your relief comes in 9 hours since you're an hour late.
Oh.
Have fun, Ish.
Oh well.
He begins to crawl down, leaving you up there.
I'll take out the gold thing and hold it up to my eyes.
Yes, it blocks out the vision completely on one side of your face.
Take it away and look very confused at it and shake it a bit.
Yeah, you shake it, and you can hear a slight rattling coming from the inside, and part of it seems to come out. It's just a section of it that you're able to pull out from the rest of the case, and as you do such, a thin film of gold is dragged out. It begins to glow, and strange runes fade across it as they begin to change and take on... What languages do you know?
Common undercommon.
It takes on Undercommon, a screwed up backwards version of Common, but it makes sense to you.
Because I'm screwed up and backwards. I get it.
It reads, "You, chosen by powers, you may not know, but your destiny has yet to begin. In the lands east, where earth sundered, a land filled with death, you will travel in haste. Fear everything has been prepared for you. In 5 suns and 5 suns, you will gather at foot to gates of long forgotten. Follow path to moon and all clear. Trust in guidance, you and you will meet with others in fate. Trust, you and others."
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
It makes absolutely no sense to your kobold-addled mind.
Okay, I'm gonna hold it in one hand, and then lean over the crow's nest and scream for Captain.
What is that, Ish? You gotta speak louder!
I found something!
Found somewhere!
In my hand!
What? It's your eyeglass, you idiot!
But it says words!
Most of them have inscriptions.
But it has words on paper thing?
Paper? What is it you're going on about, Ish? Just do your job!
I need Captain!
No, do your job, Ish!
Well, then I need an eyeglass. This isn't one.
What do you mean you need an eyeglass? You had an eyeglass!
It doesn't work!
Oh! And you see the individual that had just climbed down begin to climb back up. He climbs up, and he gets to the top, and he goes, "Ish, what the hell are you talking about?"
I'm gonna, like, flap it in his face.
That's not an eyeglass, you idiot. That's a scroll. Where did you get that?
I don't know. Who found it?
Probably another trinket you brought back. Well, eyeglass. He reaches up and hands you the eyeglass.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And that's all you need, yeah?
Captain?
No, do your damn job, Ish. Captain's not gonna come and talk to you every 5 minutes. You know what you're looking for. You're looking for land or other ships. Do your job, Ish.
But Captain...
The Captain's busy. He's plotting our next trajectory. Leave Captain Ish alone, Ish.
When can I have Captain?
When you're on break and he's got a moment, I don't care.
What'd you say?
When you're on break, the Captain's available, he speak to you. Do your job, Ish.
Can you tell Captain?
I'll tell Captain something. He begins to climb down. So what would you like to do?
My job, I guess.
Okay. You begin to hear squawking as the sun begins to pick up and the fog begins to clear. Seagulls begin to circle your ship.
Can you close enough for me to grab? No? Okay.
They know better.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You can tell that there's a slightly larger one. This one, you can think of a name if you want. Nests right above the crow's nest, but only comes back home if you're not there. It knows better than to land when the kobold is in the crow's nest.
I have a longbow.
Yes, you do. If you wanted to shoot at it, you could.
Now leave him for now. But I'll do the I'm watching you sign.
It squawks at you.
It's like one day when I'm hungry enough, you better hope the chef feeds me. Yeah. He's got a scar to prove it.
So,
Yeah.
most of your watch passes with no issues. It approaches evening. As the sun begins to dip, your relief climbs up and goes, Ish, I'm here to relieve you.
Salute. Really badly again.
Do you have the eyeglass? And not that fancy one you've got.
I was just about to hand it to him. And I switch it for the actual eyeglass.
He takes the eyeglass and he goes, go, Ish, you're done. Chef's got food for you, as usual.
Captain?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what your obsession with Captain is today, but yes, I guess he's available.
No, each day it's a different crew member.
Bring me the random crew member. Bring it to me. Bring it to me now.
I'll climb down though and head to Chef.
Okay. You head in, and Chef looks up and he's like, how was watch?
Watchy?
Did you see your friend up there today?
Yeah, I wasn't hungry enough today. You feed me good. But one day.
I'm telling you, you better catch that damn rat. I'm gonna eat him myself if you don't. I hate that fucking thing. Shitting all over the deck. Well, here he is. Grits as usual.
Oh boy.
Nothing special. You didn't come back today.
You make me want to run away and come back every day.
I hope so. It keeps it alive here. We'd be bored otherwise.
You know where Captain is?
In his room, usual. He's got a special ledger. Wouldn't bother him now.
But
Captain, yeah. You're gonna go anyways. Just get.
I'm gonna take my food and walk up to the captain's room.
There is a sign that you're quite accustomed to at this point. Crew members allowed entry except for Ish. Ish, go away.
I'm gonna open the door.
You enter with no issues. And he goes, yes, Ish, how can I help you?
Captain, look at this, and I'm gonna put the thing on the desk.
Yeah, they said you found a special eyeglass.
I woke up with it,
It's usually what you do.
but it wasn't there when I went to sleep.
That's usually what you do.
You don't remember this?
Well, what about it? It looks like a scroll case.
What is it? What does it mean?
You tell me.
But
Did you open it? Read it?
yeah,
What did it say?
I don't remember.
He opens it. Oh, this is real fancy. Sad. Probably could sell this more than I could sell you, but it won't come back.
That's why I'm special.
It begins to glow, and you can see the writing change to common this time. He goes, what the hell? A magical scroll? Chosen by the powers that be. You may not know it now, but destiny is yet to begin. What the hell? You don't know where you found this?
I woke up with it, I told you.
I don't like hearing that, but whatever. He finishes reading, he's like, oh, this might just be the key. This might be the key. Ish, come with me. He's gonna lead you back out to the deck.
I'm gonna hold his hand.
Okay. He's like, no, shoot. Yeah, let go of me. He walks over to the door. The only door that everyone on the ship is afraid to go in. You can see 3 grooves on the door. They start at about head height for the captain, and it goes down and then curves off. It looks like claw marks. And you know what already lives inside the room. Your priest. The sea priest. The one who blesses your tides. He knocks on the door. Yes, come on out. I gotta speak with you about something important. Come on. The individual walks out. Yes, what is it you want from me, Captain?
Is it a hag?
No, it is a bird, standing about the height of the captain, black-beaked, black feathers, wearing a similar outfit to the captain, except instead of a pirate hat, a hood of deep-sea blue covers most of his head, and also his eyes. What did Ish bring back this time?
Can I pet it?
He looks at you. You can tell he's looking at you. Go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw. Yeah. You walk up and you begin to pet his leg. He goes, of course, the damn lizard's immune. Oh, I hate this thing. Captain, what you find? Here, I need you to take a look at this. Ish brought it back. Hands it to the bird. Oh, I see. Oh, interesting. Well, follow me to the water. He walks over to the edge of the ship, and he begins to speak in a language you do not understand, as a pool of water begins to form directly in front of him. It basically looks like he's dragging water from the ocean, and it creates a bowl that's filled with water.
It's a waterbender.
Yes, he's a waterbender. And it begins to glow as he begins to chant, and he looks into it. He's like, Ish, come here. Up onto the railing, come on.
Okay, I climb up.
Okay. He's like, look into it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see?
Water.
More than that, look deeper. As you begin to look in, you begin to see a forest. And this forest extends out to see a large mountain. the foot of the mountain, 2 large statues of what you can only assume are tiny midgets with beards, holding axes out to each other.
Okay, tiny midget. They're like twice my size, though.
Yeah, tiny midgets compared to humans. They're slightly bigger than Ish itself. He's like, the ocean has spoken, Ish. It's time for you to leave.
But I don't want to.
No. Come with me. Come. It is time for you to go where you need to.
But Captain.
The oceans have spoken, and the captain will not argue my deciding. Come. He points to a few crew members. You. Prepare the dinghy. Make it a sail. Grab the flag. Little Ish is going to become his own little captain now. And he's going to be leaving. Captain goes, what are you talking about? Ish won't leave. Ish can't leave. Ish always finds his way back. He goes, no, not this time. This time Ish leaves, and Ish might return, but it won't be for some time. Come, Ish. Come. Into the dinghy. It is time for you to leave.
I'll come back, Captain.
We know you will. Maybe in spirit taunt us. But you will. The captain looks a little somber. He reaches down and hands you the scroll. Ish. He's gonna kneel down. He's gonna grab you by the shoulders. I think this is the time that you leave for good now.
But Captain.
No, there's no but captain this time. This is captain's orders. Captain's orders say you get in that dinghy and you go. You make your captain proud. You're now Captain Ish. He pulls off his pirate hat and he puts it on your head. Tears begin to stream down from his eyes. And as the rest of the crew have been woken up, they begin to make their way up to the top. And they're like, Is he going to go? Like, for good? And the captain reaches up and he's like, listen all, captain's decree. Captain Ish is declaring a new captain of his own little dinghy. Captain Ish welcomes Captain Ish to the League of Captains. We all must sing him a sea shanty on his way. May Davy Jones watch you as you go. And they begin to prepare the dinghy.
Can I hug every single one of them while
Yes.
the dinghy's being prepared?
Yes, every single one of them will come up and hug you. Most of them have got tears streaming down their eyes. Other ones are just like, good fucking riddance, as they're looking away at the ocean. And you can tell that they're sobbing without looking at you. They're like, good fucking... Good.
Too manly to cry.
Be like, I can't do this in front of the lizard. No. And then Chef walks up, and he's carrying a bag.
Yeah.
And he puts it in the dinghy and goes, well, I'll do this for you, Ish. Should I say Captain Ish now? And he grabs the flag, and he ties it around your shoulders. This is your own little flag. It will guide you, and hopefully it will protect you. But hopefully I will see you again.
I'm gonna climb up and pat him on the head and tell him to kill that bird for me.
Yes, I'll get it. Don't you fucking worry about that. I will get it. But for now, we give you the last send-off for the ship. Into the water with you.
I'll jump off into the water.
Jump off into the water. They lower a dinghy into the water. It's got a makeshift sail with a little bit of cloth to be able to get you where you're going, and a couple oars that you couldn't even possibly use.
I can reach one of them, but probably not the other at the same time.
And they're gonna be like, okay, Ish, you know how to pirate a ship? Let's go. It's time for you to leave.
I'll give them another crappy salute.
Gotcha. And they're gonna begin to sing, leave her, Johnny, leave her. It's time for you to leave her.
Finally.
As you begin to be lowered down onto your new dinghy.
Why do I feel like I should be in a coffin and they're lowering me down into the grave?
So, they lower you down, and all of them come up to the edge of the ship, and you can see the ship begin to, like,
Yeah,
tilt towards that direction with the mass amount of people standing on that one side. And even the captain, everyone except the priest, are standing on the edge of the ship, and they all go, and as they finish Johnny Leave Her, they salute, the really shitty, kobold-ish salute, as they begin to leave you behind. It is time for you to leave her.
I'm gonna wave at them until I can't see them anymore.
Okay, perfect. You wave. And you can see them all at the back of the ship, waving as only one of them is basically sailing the ship. And they're just leaving. Yeah, the priest is just like, hey, son of a bitches, leaving me to do their job.
I never liked that damn lizard.
I never liked that damn lizard. Don't like that damn lizard. Okay, so you begin to leave. You set the sail and you begin to sail back towards land. You don't know where you're going. You're picking a random direction, and you're going because that's what the scroll said to do.
It's always worked for me, guys.
Yep, random direction, and off you go. So you begin to head out, and as you do, the day ends. You go to sleep. Fuck sailing the ship all night. You're tired, but it's never failed you before.
Did Captain pack me food?
Yes, he did. And Chef even packed a few of your favorites.
Yeah.
Spoiled boiled eggs.
Boiled eggs.
Yep, your favorite.
Yep.
Tasty. Quite a few of them, actually. I think he used probably a few dozen eggs.
I'm
Yes.
No, yeah, you can. As long as it's not outside of the shell.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm so tempted to just like shove them all around. The lizard mouth just completely full of eggs.
So.
Yeah, I would be good. Just introduce myself to the first person I see and then just pass out.
So, the first day passes without any issues. But the second day, a storm begins to come. The storm begins to rage, and you must make an athletics check. You must prepare yourself to sail through the storm.
Can I make a dexterity check
You can.
instead of an athletics?
You're like, I don't have strength. Please don't make me use it.
So it would be acrobatics then?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You begin to prep the ship. You do have sail. You know that if you did full sail, you'd probably end up losing it. You begin to prep yourself and prepare yourself for the
Can I
waves.
tie myself to the ship?
Yes, you can. The storm begins to rage, and throughout the day it picks up violence. As it begins to throw you around as you pick up on the top of waves and you're tossed back down. You don't capsize, luckily, and you do flip over a couple of times, but all your wares have been tied down, and your ship rights itself as you continue to sail towards land. You pass out during the storm, and the next day you awaken. You have washed ashore on the ship. Still tied to the ship, with all your belongings still there, except your longbow.
No. Why? You get rid of my longbow.
Your longbow is missing, and you don't know where it disappeared to. But you're on the edge of a beach that leads up to a forest secluded in mountains.
Is it the same forest that I saw in the water?
No.
Yeah. I do see a forest then.
Yes. So what would you like to do?
I will furiously try to pull the boat along with me because the captain gave it to me and I don't want to leave it.
Gotcha. You begin to drag the boat ashore, and you begin to drag it up. How far are you going to attempt to drag it?
How far can I get it in an hour?
It's probably not too far, actually.
A few inches.
Maybe about 50 feet. You could drag it across the beach before you hit the rocks, and it becomes extraordinarily difficult to
And there's,
continue
like,
dragging it.
friction
Yeah.
From the like wood, like. I'll take the sail then and fold it up. And put
Okay.
it in my pack.
You take the sail
Yeah, an oar.
and an oar.
I'll
Okay.
take the oar.
You take the oar as well. Where would you like to go?
Which direction's north on a D4? What number?
1.
Okay, well then I'm going south.
You begin to head south. You begin to head south along the beach, and you end up leaving the beach as it basically becomes a cliffside looking down into the ocean. As the forest begins to surround you on all sides, you begin to head further in. You continue to travel through the forest. One day passes, another day passes, and you're quite adept at surviving. You've managed to do it before, and you'll do it again. You find yourself getting lost, however. A strange mist always happens to appear at strange intervals. You get turned around, mixed up, backwards. You start leaving scratches on trees, and you begin to wonder, have you seen that same shrub 6 times before? The answer is probably, but you don't know. The third day of traveling like this, you hear a voice. Oi! What are you doing? Sorry, that's a pirate voice. Oi, what are you doing?
What?
You've been walking in a circle for an hour.
Have I?
He looks at the ground where you've trampled a circle into the grass. He goes, yeah, and you've scared off all the deer.
It's odd.
Not really.
They usually don't get lost.
Really? Come. Sit down. I'll make a fire. You can
Sit
tell me
down.
all about it.
Right where I am. Sit down.
Okay. He goes, oh, that works too, I guess. He begins to make a fire. He puts a pot of water, a pot of water on the fire, and he begins to make some tea. He grabs out a couple of glasses, and cups, and he pours him and you a glass. And he goes, so, what brings you to this forest?
I'm gonna hold the teacup
Mhm.
and open my mouth and just kind of like right down my throat.
All of it.
All of it.
He looks extremely worried, as there's no reaction from you. And he goes, he looks down, he's like, he puts his pinky in. He goes, what the hell? As he shakes it away from the heat, and he goes, you're a strange creature. Kobolds don't usually find themselves in the forest here. And you finally get a good look at him. It's an elf with a glowing gold and red hair. He goes, where did you come from?
Where did you go? Where did you come from? God, that joke. The water. Came from the water.
You swam?
I had a boat.
You mean the dinghy that was washed ashore?
I'll take out my oar.
Well, that would explain a lot. Where are you going, little lizard?
South?
Well, you're heading north.
That would explain a lot.
Yeah, it would. You said you don't normally get lost. This is not normal for you. Well, it's probably due to the enchantments placed on this forest. It makes travelers lost if you don't know the secrets.
I know lots of secrets.
I'm sure you do. You look like a secret-keeping little lizard. You look like a pirate.
That's because I am a pirate.
He looks at you, really quizzitive, and he just laughs. Funny little lizard. Well, where are you ultimately going? You look like you have a purpose.
Where am I going? Statues of short humans.
He looks at you even more quizzitive-like, and he's like, well, I assume you're looking for a human settlement then.
Maybe.
Uh-huh. Well, come. I will guide you through the forest north. Might as well entertain myself while I do some hunting.
Name.
Cragglewood.
Quagglewood?
Craggle.
Craggle.
Yes, Cragglewood.
Quagglewood.
Yes, Cragglewood. Whatever, little lizard. And what can I call you?
Captain-ish, as I salute him.
Captain Ish, huh? I see. So, you're a strange little lizard who thinks it's a pirate.
And I am a pirate.
That's good for you. Come. Have you eaten recently?
No.
Well, do you know how to hunt?
Fish? I can fish.
You can fish. Well, you're gonna have to survive in the forest somehow, so here. He reaches inside of his bag and he's like, rest for now. And he puts some jerky on in the pot, and he begins to toss a few other things into the water as well. And then he begins to sit down with strange tools, and he finds a large stick of wood and begins to carve it.
Is he making a bow?
He is making a bow.
Can I reach in and pull out the jerky though?
Yeah. Yeah, you reach in, taking 1d4 points of damage as the water is boiling. You take 1 point of damage. You reach in and you pull out the jerky, and he just looks at you wide-eyed at this point. He's like, you are the strangest creature I have ever seen.
I'm gonna start chewing on the jerky.
Would you like some more flavorful food?
Doesn't matter.
He's gonna pull out more jerky and put it back into the water. Then he pulls out more jerky and hands it to you.
That was a good decision. I was gonna reach in more.
He's just like, this is the strangest creature I have ever seen.
That's what my captain says.
You're a captain and you have a captain.
I'm new captain?
New captain. I see. Well, maybe this will help. The night goes on and he finally makes the stew successfully. Every time you would reach for the pot to get in and steal the jerky out, he reaches in and hands you a stick of jerky.
Like slaps my hand.
No, doesn't even slap it. He intercepts your hand with some jerky, and you grab it and you begin to eat. He just shakes his head and he's like, how did I end up in this situation?
That's my goal. For everybody to question.
So, the night begins to come on as the night begins to... Yeah, thank you for the 1 point of damage there. He finally finishes, and he grabs out a fine string, and he knocks a newly made bow in elven style. He goes, it's a bit rushed, but this should do. He hands it to you, a longbow of elven make, slightly stronger than your previous bow.
I had one. Wasn't as, fancy.
Yeah, I noticed the arrows on your back.
I look back confused. I don't remember putting arrows on my back.
Yep. It's attached to your bag, but yeah. You have a quiver of arrows, which is why he asked if you knew how to hunt. He was just like...
I don't. Unless you're talking about people.
Like on people. He's like... He kind of shrugs at that. He's kind of just been listening to you talk to yourself for a few hours now, and asked you a few questions about being a pirate.
Yeah.
And he's gonna go, so, what brings you to this forest?
The scroll.
What's...
I take it out of my pants.
You just pull out of your pants the scroll. He goes, huh, that looks fancy.
Come on, don't take it.
I wouldn't hope. I wouldn't even try. You don't take candle. My candle! Call my candle! Okay, he goes, well, what does it say?
I'm gonna unfurl it.
Okay. You pull it open. The runes don't appear.
It had words here.
Well, it doesn't look to have words now.
Captain said it's magic.
I wouldn't doubt it. But everything about you seems strange, so I wouldn't doubt it.
Thanks.
Well, you can journey with me north as I take you out of the forest. So, as you begin to travel through the forest, he begins to point out a few things to you. Certain roots and berries that are useful in your travels, as well as a few other things. Certain leaves, certain tracks.
So, question: are the berries for healing, or can I ingest them just straight?
They're for food, normally.
Okay. So I'm just gonna whatever I see them, then
Yes.
grab some, shove them in my mouth.
Yep, he's going to teach you how to hunt, to stay stealthy when you're looking at animals, instead of rushing out and beginning to swat at them with your bow.
Just fucking
Yeah.
grab one end of it and smack people.
Yeah.
this is how you hunt, yes.
He's going to shake his head with like a
Throws an arrow with my bare hand.
Yeah. So he's going to teach you the proper ways of hunting as he escorts you to the edge of the forest. And you travel for quite some time with him. As the day begins to fade, he looks at you and goes, well, I've escorted you to the edge of my territory, and you must go now, little lizard. But it has been fun talking to you.
Can I ask you why?
Why what?
Most people try to sell me.
Why would they do that?
Because I sell for some money.
It sounds like slavery, and we do not do that here. As to why I've escorted you, it is a ranger's duty in seeing individuals traveling through your territory. So, I wish you the best of luck, little lizard. And the day fades as we move on to the next.
Boy, oh boy.
Boy, oh boy. More sea shanties. Oh boy.
Your boat's not as fancy as mine. No, you don't have a boat sailing.
So, several of the players are discussing the differences between their two ships, and we come over to the Goat's Head, a trading
Okay,
ship.
so we move to the next. The story of an individual who has found himself traveling from ship to ship. Being different from everyone else around in life was tough growing up. People always looked at him like he was no good. And that is why this individual spent time hiding by the docks, practicing a fiddle that he had stole from his father. After years of practicing, a few sailors started to notice and offered some coin to play the fiddle on the ship. Apparently, he liked sailing. Got lots of practice performing for the crews that he joined whenever he felt the need for some adventure. Being on a ship taught him some things, such as bar fighting and maybe making a deal for some coin. But sailors, they don't like being swindled out of booze and gold. And pirates, even less so. Eventually, a deal went sour, and the crew that he joined to sing was robbed by pirates. They had killed his captain. Murphy was his name, I remember. And I had managed to strike a deal with their captain. In exchange for my life and a few coins, I would play for them and travel with them. Once hitting port, the deal had been finished, and I decided to take the money and move on. Jumping from crew to crew was nice, but it wasn't fulfilling. I felt like I needed to move on and explore something different. But maybe one last ship for good old times might send me on my way. We find ourselves with a tiefling, playing on board the ship known as the Sea Goat.
What was Goat's Head?
No, that's a different ship. It's a different ship.
Lots of goats. Goats don't belong in the sea. Like
They do belong in the sea. The Sea Goat and the Goat's Head are two ships from the same company. Yes. So, you find yourself playing on the ship. The sun is high, and the mood is also high. As you end one sea shanty, and before you start another, you decide to take a break. What is it you would like to do?
So something that I should have realized at the time is they were supposed to be the same ship. I was supposed to put Zap on this ship as one of the guests, and I ended up screwing that up and just went with it. I also didn't realize that Captain Craiglish's name was still on the token, and that everyone was seeing it. And it'll come up in conversation here in a minute, but we pick up with this new character. Also, another DM's note for future use for anyone watching this, it's going to be in the video as well, is that I need to go ahead and go back through their backstories and actually write it in one perspective, third or first person, because they all shift from third to first person, and it's just so bad. So bad. But we continue.
Land is approaching. It looks like your destination is almost done, and your goal of leaving the sailing life is about to be fulfilled. This was supposed to be the last trip on the boat for quite some time. Maybe you'll find more success helping people in inns and in cities.
So, what his character is going on about is he's asking questions about where they're at and their destination. His goal was to eventually get off the ship and to begin adventuring in a different way, going from town to town, inn to inn, and telling his stories about the sea life that he has experienced.
He is in his quarters.
Where's his quarters?
You head in. No, this is the same ship. This is just different levels of the ship.
Yeah. Yeah, then my ship didn't have 3 layers. Like, there wasn't. Yeah, yours has 4. Probably because it's, a shipping ship instead of a pirate ship.
So, you pass the dining hall where a few members of the crew were eating their lunch, and the captain's door is open. Huh? The nod? Ondario?
Do you pronounce it like that too? Gentleman.
The captain's door is open.
Do you do a little curtsy when you say it?
So what is it you would like to do? Okay. Enter. Yes. I think they were estimating tomorrow morning with the tide.
He basically enters the captain's room after greeting the staff eating at the table or outside of the captain's room. They're higher up on the food chain on the ship, and after entering, he asks the captain if they're approaching their destination and when they would be expecting to hit port. And these are his answers.
Looks can be deceiving, my boy. Yes, always. Might as well do what you came to do.
Why does that sound like you're gonna hop up on a box and start stripping?
apologies for all of
Stupid
the
sexy
excess
fucker.
noise. Apologies for any excess noise in the background. He basically says that he's going to continue entertaining the crew, and that the captain's acknowledging him finishing what he's promised to do, entertain the ship and crew by playing his fiddle and singing the sea shanties with them and doing whatever else aboard the ship.
You're on the SSF then.
Is there anything else you were needing, Ondario? Good. Come on, Ondario. So, what would you like to do?
I'm going to wait until she stops, getting into something.
The crew.
There we
where
go.
the meals are cooked and stuff like that? Okay. You head down to the next level.
He basically
Ondario!
asks...
Hey, have you eaten today?
He basically asks me, the DM, what the best place to go and play is, and he heads down to the 3rd level, or truly the 2nd level, because that second part of the ship is just showing you the undersides of the parts of the ship above, the extra rooms, the captain's quarters, and things like that. And he ends up coming down and speaking with a couple of crewmates.
Well, grab yourself some chow. It's grits again, but it's good.
What are grits? Like, I've heard that, but...
It's like kind of like oatmeal, but shitty. You want protein? Go fishing. Still get seasick? Maybe you can't stand the fishy oil.
Maybe it's scurvy.
Or maybe it's the smell. Can't handle a woman, can you? You're a crafty son of a bitch.
Vicious mockery. Deal 1d4 damage.
So basically what they're doing is they're
The two
just
here play
jibing at
cards.
each
Well,
other.
Mario, you down for a game?
The crewmates that he's about to play cards with were ending up poking jabs at him, telling him that he's seasick because he can't stand the smell of some sea, basically telling him he can't handle the pungent smell of decaying fish.
Good. Deal in. And they shuffle the cards and they push the deck over to you.
Now you do the sleight of hand to, win.
Friendly wages. Your grits. That's what I'm looking for.
The game that he's about to play is cards with these two sailors, and he proceeds to try to sleight a hand and end up winning some games via less than honorable tactics. And the individuals put up their bowl of grits as the wagers, because they're not really trading coin yet. And Ondario actually goes up and ends up winning all of the bowls of grits, and he doesn't actually end up eating them. He gives them back bowls of grits, and he ends up not even taking his own as he heads back up to the main deck to play some music.
No, I'm gonna let that be a 2-1 there. And you deal yourselves out. So what is it? What's the first wager? Okay. He's gonna toss 2 gold pieces, and the other one's gonna be like, somebody wanted grits? I'll toss my grits on the table.
Was it him that wanted grits? Just bringing it up again. Hey, I still want my grits.
Nah, the other dude that was there that didn't want the grits, he just looks at it and he's like, nah, I don't need it, but if I win coins and if I lose it, I lose my grit. Whatever. So he's like, fuck it. You can have the grit if you want it. I just want to wager something. So, you're going to make 2 d8 rolls, and they will have advantage for you since you rigged your deck. The individuals with the highest numbers will win the hand. As close to 21 as you can get. Then the other one. Okay, you still have advantage, so you can still roll again and see if you can get higher.
That's so bad.
So, the individual who put his grits on the table goes, heh, I won the first round. He takes his bowl of grits, and he takes the 7 coins off the table.
Double or nothing.
He's like, do it again, let's go. Yep.
So this game is gonna go on.
This time, and his bowl of grit.
This game was kind of out of nowhere. I kind of had to think of something.
The bowl of grits is gonna put 5 coins up, and his bowl of grits.
I had to think of something kind of out of the blue, and I was like, you know what? Let's play 21, but a kind of altered version of 21 using D8s. Kind of just something off the top. I gotta really think of some better games to sit down and play with the party members. But if you guys like this idea, or you guys find anything with it, it'd actually be pretty nice to go off of. So feel free to shoot me a message or hit me a comment on YouTube and let me know if you have any other cool gambling ideas for the game.
Table. He's like, I'm 17 gold. Yes, he shouldn't have wagered his grits. I don't even want these damn things. And he has also he's also 17 gold richer than he was when he started this.
You should just wager your bowl of grits.
So, are you gonna reshuffle the deck?
You would love this.
Okay. You're gonna start doing deceptions? Okay, so go ahead and roll 2d8 and then do a deception check. Just normal. Okay. So, you begin to dish out the cards, and the other guy goes, what about the wagers? Okay. He's gonna pull out his last gold that he's willing to spare, which is three gold. The other dude puts all 2 bowls of grits. No, yeah, all 3 bowls of grits, because they're now all his. So he puts all 3 bowls of grits on the table. And he goes, this is what I'm waging all day. Just bowls of grit. I'm not losing that coin. I'm going to be spending it when I get back to shore.
On real food?
So, you guys begin to flip. And with your deception roll, you're like, do you guys want to fold? Do you guys even want to play? Because I've got the best hand. I've got the nuts. Right now. And they look at you. And they're like, nah. You don't got the nuts. Flip it. You guys flip. And you've got the best hand. They're like, well, it wasn't the fucking nuts, but you still fucking did it, you salty bastard. The other dude goes, well, there goes my fucking grits. Didn't want them anyways. You have all 3 bowls of grits and the 3 coins from the other pirate. So, they're like, hey, take your goddamn grits. The other dude goes, oh, I want it, so I'm gonna take it. And they begin to fight over the second bowl of grits. Now these poor fuckers. So, what would you like to do next? Up to the deck?
This is where he proceeds to head up to the top of the deck, and he's going to begin playing sea shanties for the rest of the crew. Instead of that, he starts to try to get some information going down below decks.
Tying things down and adjusting them. Yeah,
That's more than that.
there's a few. Then you can hear snoring from a lot of the crew members that are asleep currently, because they're not on watch. They're like, Ondario, what are you doing down here?
See you in lullaby.
Makes sense. None of that fiddle work down here, you know, they're asleep. Don't want none of that. You don't have gentle lullabies. Your sounds like a screeching dying cat. Oi, you watch your tail. Spicy. I'll see you in your rack tonight. Winks at you.
They're going to proceed to jab at each other again. The stereotype that sailors are gay. Less than desirable word to use there, but that's pretty much the jest that they go here. They're also jesting that Ondariel's fiddle work sounds like that of a dying cat.
He's like mid-40s. He's been doing this for quite a while.
I don't think you understand. You don't have a choice in this.
No, he's like, drop a couple of years. You're not experienced enough for me, boy. I like someone with a little bit more spice in my bed. I bet your mum would be a hell of a score. Especially to create something that fine looking. Yeah. You're no fun. Get out of here. Go swab the poop deck, you idiot. And he's not talking to you. He points to somebody else down here as he says that. Ondario, play yourself a fiddle. Let's get some music down here.
Down here where?
Yep. Cool. He begins to kind of just jaunt his head and begin to sing a sea shanty under his breath as he just kind of goes back to work. He's like, man, I hate working down here. Miss those sea shanties up above. Everyone down here sleeping. Can't really sing too loudly. They get angry. So, a little while passes by and somebody finally goes, shut the hell up, I'm trying to sleep.
Try harder.
Try harder, you asshole. Quit masturbating, I don't need it. So you play, and then you stop, and you head back up to the main deck. You can hear the sea shanties still being sung, but the music is missing, as you return to the deck and begin to pick it up with your fiddle. The day passes by with no issues. The day begins to end as the crew is all awake as the changing of the watch begins to happen. Captain, we're close enough to land that we should probably anchor. Yeah, I understand. We have to wait for the tides tomorrow morning. Ondario, get some rest. You're off the ship tomorrow, and your coin will be waiting for you. Yes. So, you rest for the night, and the next morning you begin to hear shouting as the sound of port fills your ears. I guess you'd pulled in a few hours early because the tide had come in slightly early. And it is time for you to leave. There are no evil seagulls around.
No, it's the same seagull.
begins to squawk at you angrily.
It has a scar on its beak. Yeah.
Yeah. He's on the deck, like, hopping towards you. Like, get out of here, this is mine!
He's one of those seagulls that's, like, missing a foot or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they call him the pirate seagull.
Peg leg. No. There's not a seagull to the Beastmaster thing before thing. Otherwise, yeah, totally.
So, the captain walks up and he goes, Ondariel, you're first off the ship, as per guest. And he's going to hand you 13 coins. There's your pay for your time on the ship. Thank you for the song. Thank you for the entertainment. And I'm sure a few individuals wouldn't mind just a little bit more time with a little bit of music. They don't get it too often. Perfect. Well, you ever find yourself in need, stop by. We'll see what we can do. The sea goat's always ready for a nice bard. All you... Yeah, that was 13 gold. All you scallywags! Get on, let's go! In the shore! Get that damn plank down so we can leave! And once the plank is down, you are the first off the ship into port. What would you like to do?
He proceeds to ask questions about the best way to go.
Let us see.
Let us see, yes. Let us see.
I mean, I've heard of iceberg.
Durandon is this port.
Hey, is that the one
Durandon.
that, the pirates were going on?
I don't think so, no. Durandon is not. Okay, you head to the nearest inn, the one in the port district, full of sailors and other rough seamen. You enter, and immediately, the sound of other bards stop, and they're like, "Hey, a fiddle! Perfect! Get up here and play!" Well, hurry it up. We always need some good music. So,
Start playing with your mouth full of meat.
you head up, and you can see a very gruff-looking, like, dwarf behind the counter. Why, how can I help you? Real food. You want a man's meal? He's gonna go ahead. Yes, I can feel you on that one. I hate the damn grits myself. He's gonna go ahead and put a stein on the table, and he's gonna fill it up.
So, I looked it up. Grits is actually like cornmeal,
Ew.
soaked in stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
It's literally just cornmeal soaked in like water or milk or something, whatever's available.
it's awful.
Awful.
And they're going to proceed
So,
to talk about
He
the
heads back into
awfulness
the
of
kitchen.
grits.
He comes up carrying half a chicken,
Like a good sized chicken, or
Good
like one of
sized
those
chicken.
like rotisserie chickens.
like one of those good-sized chickens, and it's split down the middle.
Like they just fucking.
Yeah, he just like
chopped.
smashed through the rib cage of the poor chicken and broke its like collarbone. I guess that thick plate.
I mean, I'm sure it wasn't a poor chicken at that point. It was probably already dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, poor fucking other half of the chicken. He puts it in front of you. 2 silver.
Oh wow, that's pretty good. Pretty good deal.
Perfect. He puts it down in his breeches, and he goes, "Anything else I can help you with? Just let me know." Nah, the bards always want more company, especially from an instrument that they're not playing themselves. Nah, unless you get tips from the patrons. But if you play and they like it, you might get a room for free. You're a bit cocky, my friend. I like it.
How many
Get up
bards are
there.
already in there?
3.
Then you have to compete with 3 other bards.
They don't stay there. So you get up, make a performance check as you begin to play for the patrons.
I'll persuade them to like it.
Haha, fools! You begin to play. No, you begin to play, and everyone just stops, and they're like, "You need to tune your shit. Come on, hurry up, tune, and play again." Yep. This time, after tuning, it seems to be better. The sound screeches out of your fiddle, but the normal screech that it's supposed to be, not the dying cat sound that it was making before. You play well into the night before the patrons begin to disperse, and new patrons come in from the docks. The dwarf walks up, hands you a key. You're sleeping in the first room upstairs. I like your music. Good on you. Your cockiness paid off for you. So you play well into the night, as you are quite used to while playing for sailors, as they're up at all hours of the night, including when they first hit port. They're up for 3 days straight, drinking, non-stop.
You know, they have to stop to,
No, they do it straight in the middle of the bar. No issues with that whatsoever. Yeah. So you play well into the night before you feel the urge of sleep coming on, and you begin to head to your room. You sleep for the night. The next morning, you wake up. You had slept with a cute little bar wench the night before, and it left you feeling ecstatic for the day. As you wake up, you roll out of bed, and something loud hits the ground, jarring you awake as you hear it roll underneath your bed.
Yeah, your penis.
Your
fell
penis
on
is
the
not
ground.
detachable, nor can it roll if it's attached to your body.
Only if the rest of your body's rolling.
You roll under the bed with it. No, you hear something loud and heavy thud against the ground, and it rolls underneath the bed.
Wouldn't it make more of a clank than a thud?
Nope, thud. Yeah, you crawl out of the bed without actually standing up.
Crawl over the lady.
You hit the ground. No, she's gone.
Okay.
She's back to work by now. You crawl, you basically hit the ground with a thud, and you look underneath the bed, and you see a faint golden glow coming from a strange golden tube underneath your bed. Okay. You open up the scroll case, and strange runes begin to fade across it. And then it changes, changing first from common, and the mixture of infernal and celestial together. Quite easy for you to read, but still a bit confusing. You have been chosen by the powers that be. You may not know it now, but your destiny has but yet to begin. In the lands to the east, where the earth has been sundered from its roots, a land filled with fire and death, you will travel in haste. Fear not, for everything has been prepared for you. In 5 suns and 5 moons, you will gather at the foot of the gates to a long-forgotten kingdom. Follow the path of the moon, and all will become clear. Trust in the guidance given to you, and you will meet with others intertwined in your fate. Trust in each other, and trust in yourself. So, what would you like to do? Okay, you get dressed, you head back down. The dwarf goes, "How was your sleep?" Good, but be careful, not all of them are as loving as the one was last night. Some of them might get a little attached. Yes, well, they're a bit young. Don't let it go to your head.
Wait, how old are you?
Hey, a little youngin' boy. So, what else would you like to do? Okay, so, you begin to head east. And your travels take you along roads. Caravans stop. They bring you along for the sound of music to be played while they're traveling. A few merchants allow you to hitch a ride as long as the song is good. And you make your way to the edge of a forest at the foot of a mountain.
I think you should have to roll for performance for each one, otherwise he gets kicked off.
He gets kicked off? Nah, he plays fairly well. It's not like they're letting him... Yeah. It takes 4 days.
That's not stuck in my head.
It takes 4 days for you to travel this far. You feel like you've come a great distance, even though you really haven't been traveling too long. But you feel like you're getting close to your destination. As you enter the forest at the foot of this mountain, you feel as fate begins to close in. We fade out and head to the next story.
So, we end with Andariel, and we start with the next character, Garnet, aka Gammoth Firefist.
The next story we pick up with is with an individual with burning hair and ember-like eyes. This individual hails from the elemental plane of fire, and this is his story. Garnet, aka Gammoth Firefist, was born to the fire city of Ignan until the age of 10, when he was suddenly thrown from his plane into the mortal plane of Nephallia. Garnet was a son to the noble fire genie Ignis and Solara. Ignis was a loving father, and his mother even more so. Ignis, unlike others, was more interested in finding magical objects from the material plane of Nephallia than he was with dealing with the magical items found within the elemental plane of fire. He would hire adventurers to look for said magical items in the material realm and have them brought back to him. He was careful, however, and these magical items were stored, locked away from others that would abuse them, including his children. His children were rambunctious. His 2 boys, who were Garnet and Glint, and the eldest, Aurora, his only daughter. Glint and Garnet were, as boys usually are, testosterone-filled. Always fighting, always bickering, always trying to one-up each other. They were only 2 years apart, but they acted the same age. Though Glint was bigger, he would always win the fights, of course. But Aurora, she would have her nose in a book constantly. Books of stories of adventurers traveling throughout the lands, and Garnet, whenever he wasn't fighting with his brother, would sit and be told these stories by his sister. He loved the ones of adventurers fighting dragons and giants, and delving ancient tombs, and fighting wars. One day, after listening to a story of great adventure, Glint started making fun of Garnet for being a bit too soft and listening to Aurora's stories. Garnet got angry, and a fight ensued, where Garnet got the ever-living shit beat out of him. This was normal. Usually, his mom was around to tend to the wounds the boys would receive. Caring for their bruises and scrapes, she would kiss them on the forehead and tell them, "Boys will be boys, and one day you will grow into men. I hope you make amends by then. You two need to stop fighting so much. Maybe listen to more stories with your sister." Garnet smiles at that. But Glint, no, he didn't want to listen to stories. He wanted to be the stories. He wanted to go out and fight. And so he did. Whenever he was not fighting with his brother, he was out inside the city, picking fights with random people, always trying to get himself into trouble, which their father would always have to come, intervene, and scold Glint. Garnet, on the other hand, was more peaceful whenever his brother was not around. But today is not that day. His fight had ended, and his mother was nowhere to be found. She was busy with his father talking to adventurers, and this made Garnet even more angry. So he stormed away from his brother and sister, traveling to the side of their estate where Ignis had kept all of his magical goods. But this was strange. Something was different. The room was open, and that was abnormal. But Garnet, seeing an opportunity, decided to explore. He approached the door and looked in, trying to figure out if anyone was there, including his father, who would scold him if he even found him anywhere near this area. But no, nothing. Nobody inside. So Garnet did what any 10-year-old would do. Explore. See what's in there. There has to be something cool and unique to see. And he did. And he came across a strange glowing object. The only thing that really caught his eye. And he's like, this will help me win against Glint. This will make me stronger. He reached out, and as he did, the light flashed around him. Garnet was gone. No longer on his father's estate. He was in the material realm. He woke up in a forest. It was cold. Colder than he thought it could be in the material plane. And he opened his eyes, and he found that he was not home. Instead, he was lost. A couple of days passed, and exploring was the only thing he could do to see if he could find his way home. He started to get hungry as he stumbled his way into a town. The town of Cliffhood. There Garnet walked into an inn. Something that kind of stood out from the rest of the town's buildings. And as he entered, he found a full place full of beings that he only recognized as adventurers from his time on his estate and his father's hired adventurers. It was there he would meet somebody that would teach him the ways of surviving. His name was Akun, and he let Garnet stay for a few nights in an attempt to help Garnet find his way home, realizing that Garnet would not be going home today, or even tomorrow, or maybe even for a while. He took him in and started to train him. He trained him in the ways of trade and goods, taught him the elven tongue for the individual elves that came from the major city. This was a great boon to Garnet. Garnet's skills grew in diplomacy, as his noble heritage gave him a bit of air that not normal people had, which impressed the elves, which allowed their business to flourish. It was until his early 20s that Garnet came across an individual traveling through his town, a traveling adventurer, a mage he called himself, an individual who realized that Garnet had power deep inside of him that he had yet to tap into, and he offered Garnet a chance to learn. Garnet, seeing that he had accomplished everything he could with Akun, parted ways, traveling to the Clay Dome Tower, where he would learn to unleash the magical powers within him. Once he had learned all that he could, or thought he could learn, Garnet was wondering, questioning himself. Was this where he was going to spend the rest of his life, or was he going to continue to try to get home? Garnet left the tower. He said his goodbyes and set off, looking for the next big town, to point him in a direction to becoming an adventurer. Maybe that would get his father's attention, and he could go home. We find ourselves at a river crossing. Garnet has been traveling for a few days, but he doesn't remember walking. He had gone to sleep the night before, and he didn't remember waking up. The next thing he knew, he was standing looking at a log over a river. The area seemed a bit hazy. Everything looked a bit off. Everything seemed strange. And this is where we pick up Garnet. There's a strange purple atmosphere. The sky is pink and clouds. It looks like sunset, but different, off, strange. What would you like to do?
So, what he proceeds to do from here is he cautiously looks around himself, trying to understand where he is, to understand the situation he has found himself. He does an Arcana check and realizes that he is not where he was before. It is similar, but not the same. He finds himself in the dream world. Garnet proceeds to continue looking around at his current situation. And he's going to slowly cross over the first wooden log bridge to the center island here.
That has been inset into the ground, and it won't budge when you walked upon. Okay. You walk across the log, you get to the other side, and the sounds begin to amplify. The gravel and dirt underneath begin to crunch as though you're walking on snow, but there's no snow here. The sound of a nighttime forest begins to echo around you. The sky changes from pink to a purplish haze, as a strange mist begins to cover the ground in front of you. The atmosphere has changed completely.
From here, he continues to investigate the changing scenario around him.
You see an individual wearing red robes in front of you. He's looking away towards the other bridge, and he's kind of mulling over it. He goes, "How did I get here? Where am I? Or someone else here? How long have you been here?"
He's going to hail the traveler or the individual in this area, and the individual is going to approach.
He approaches you. "Are you an illusion? You look so familiar. What do you look like? This must be my age-old brain getting to me again." Make a history check.
The history check is he's trying to figure out if he recognizes the individual in
Does
front of
not
him.
look familiar at all.
That's so dumb.
You look like a young boy that I used to know. Oh, where was it? Oh, where was it? Ah, yes. Yes, it did. You're from Ignis's estate. You are young Garnet. How did you get here?
The individual is going to
He approaches,
recognize him.
and he reaches out towards your face. He's like, "You're so old now. You've aged very well, young boy."
The individual is going to come up, recognizing him as the son of Ignis and Solara, the two Afrites that were his parents. The individual before him was an adventurer that he will slowly recognize as one of the adventurers who came around delivering magical items to his parents. He's also going to recognize that Garnet has aged quite well. He's been away from home for quite some time. He's then going to inform him.
Adventurers scour the world and look not just for artifacts now, but for his long-lost son.
The information that he's going to proceed to start telling him is how his family's been doing and what has happened since his disappearance all those years ago.
Oh boy, you have missed so much. How?
He's going to ask how he ended
Your
up.
brother has become an arena champion, and your sister is an esteemed scholar. Your father continues to do his business as usual, and your mother is a diplomat. She has taken over part of the council for the city of Ignan.
I thought you were going to say dead for a second. And your mother is dead.
Yes. Where are we? Here. This would make sense. This would make very much sense, but why are we both here? We would have to be very close to each other, or connected somehow to see each other in this realm.
So he's proceeding to tell the individual that he has been gifted the ability to unlock the hidden potential within himself.
If you would survive.
He started training as a sorcerer, and the individual's basically going to understand that only those with magical blood, that or the magical skill to be able to enter the plane of dreams themselves is how they are interacting.
Which you have. It is good to see. It is good to see indeed. Do you remember what happened to you that many years ago? What brought you here?
He then regales the story of how he entered his father's enchanted room and ended up just touching something he wasn't supposed to, which ended up sending him to the material plane. He then proceeds to give information to this individual about how he's been doing over these years, where he ended up, where he's gone, and what he's done.
Return. You are not native to the material plane. Why have you not returned home? Questions to mule over. Questions to mule over. Well, come here. Sit down. We shall make a fire. He waves his hands, and a fire appears. He waves his hands, and two logs appear on either side. Tell me a story of your time in the material plane. Where have you been all this time?
He tells him first of a coon in the Cliffhood village. Then he proceeds to tell him about the Clay Dome Learning Academy, where he learned to control some of his magic. And that he has left, and he's begun to travel trying to find more information on adventurers and the ability to find his way home.
Well, I'm glad to see that you've aged very well. You look like your mother. So much so.
You look like a woman.
You look like a bitch. But you don't look too much like your father. But I'm sure you pick up after your mother more than anything. A diplomat at heart. Yes. Yes, well, I can tell that you have magical prowess in you. You must use that to find your way, but I feel like there is something you must do before returning home. And I cannot tell what it is, but I believe your destiny is coming to fruition now. You will make your father and mother very proud.
The information that he's talking about
I am old, and my days well, but I can tell you that you will make very many decisions that will determine the very fate of this world. You are an important key, I feel, but that is still to be determined. Let us see where you are.
So the conversation that you were unable to hear was him basically asking questions to the old man in front of him about him going on about him having a certain fate that the old wizard can feel, and sadly he's unable to give information to Garnet, which Garnet takes in stride, realizing that eventually he will have to come to find this information on his own.
Your journey goes, but you must first wake up. Wake up. As the sound begins to increase, as the words wake up are beginning to be shouted at you, the individual in front of you begins to fade out.
Cliche.
Yes.
It's all a dream.
It's all a dream. It was all a dream. You wake up leaning against a tree in the same place that you had slept the night before. The same trail next to the fire that you had spoke with the old man. That same fire, gone. It is out, but the remnants still remain where you had chatted. Was it a dream, or was it reality? You do not know.
Is this the real life?
We'll escape from reality. So you open your eyes, and you look around. Everything doesn't have the same haze, but you still feel an aura of eeriness from your dream. The mysterious stranger you'd spoke to had seemed somewhat familiar, as though he'd known you, but you didn't really know him. But you have some information on your family. Hopefully it's true. Hopefully they're doing as well as you had been told. Sitting inside the fire, something glints the sunshine towards you, as you see a strange cold tube sitting in the remnants of the fire. Yeah, the ash falls away from it, as though it doesn't want it on it. It's impeccably clean and shines with its own natural light. Was it the sunshine itself that bounced off of it into your eyes, or the device, or the object itself? Yes, it opens, and a thin film of gold, where paper would be in a scroll, is there. Strange runes begin to etch itself across the paper, or the gold, and it changes into a language of primordial that you're able to speak. And it says, "You have been chosen by the powers that be. You may not know it now, but your destiny has but yet to begin. In lands to the east, where the earth has been sundered from its roots, a land filled with fire and death, you will travel in haste. Fear not, for everything has been prepared for you. In 5 suns and 5 moons, you will gather at the foot of the gates to a long-forgotten kingdom. Follow the path of the moon, and all will become clear. Trust in the guidance given to you, and you will meet with others intertwined in your fate. Trust in each other, and trust in yourself." Right?
And yet, we'll all end up in the same spot because the DM is magic.
Magic.
So I go through, and the start where I made them make their characters is where they will end up starting here.
Okay.
And I split them up from the
Kind of follow
beginning
you.
area
You can head that
here.
direction. Okay, following the path to the next town. So, you begin to head out. And this is where we fade again. Back to where it all started. Question mark? Question mark, question mark,
Click
question
here to find out.
Click here to find out. So, I don't know what perspective to start from here, but all of you, your travels have led you here. A sense of welcome and recollection comes to you. You don't know where you'd seen this place, but you remember being here one time before. Zap, Ish, you come from the forests from the east, the west. Andariel from the east, and Garnet from the north. You guys, right? It's crazy.
I went like south when I was apparently supposed to go north. Hey, the D4 told me.
So, as you guys made your way in the directions that you think you were supposed to head, scenarios kept happening that kept pushing you in the right direction. Maybe by fate, maybe by coincidence. But here, all of you simultaneously walk from the forest, and you look around this clearing as 3 other individuals.
Wait, can we see everybody else?
I mean,
Is it daytime?
It is daytime.
It doesn't matter, we all have dark vision.
Let me do that. Actually, here.
I see the bottom half of you.
There you go. You should all be.
Yeah, now I see,
Okay.
I'm over here, if that's who you're talking about.
So at this point, they're all going to talk,
So,
kind of identifying each other and pointing out where they are currently.
you all exit the forest simultaneously, but the breathtaking view that you see that basically draws all of your eyes is a mountain. This
In which
mountain...
direction?
South.
South.
Yes, south, this direction, past the river,
Mhm.
off the map. But a mountain lies before you, and at the foot of it, two very large dwarven statues
I remember
flank
those.
each other,
I saw them in the
towering into the sky. They're definitely not small. They're definitely bearded.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, the thing that draws all of your attention to each other is your scrolls begin to glow, blindingly.
It's in my pants. Like...
It begins to glow upwards, blindingly.
Yep. I'd be like, am I just happy to see you guys? Like...
They're gonna make a penis joke at that point. Specifically on Dariel is.
Okay.
My pants, you just reach down and listen to pants and go...
So, I assume all of you guys reach for your scrolls.
Yeah.
Okay. You open them. And again, this time in a language that all of you can read simultaneously, in common. The runes shift and tell you. A path known to few and fewer walked, past a high place, but not the top. You must cross the guardians at where they meet, hidden behind and in between. A phrase that has been lost and a tongue no longer spoken. You will find the key that will always open.
Can you write this down?
Once inside, you will travel free. Still your blade, and you will pass unharmed amongst the broken. Show no fear, and follow the path, for if you stray, you may never leave. When you arrive, bow and listen. Do not speak, and follow the guidance, and all will become clear. And yes, I will write this down for you.
And give us a note area that we can add to. Like you did it.
Mm-hmm.
So I end up giving him the riddle.
I've had pirates, and they don't bow. I don't even know if my kobold will know what bowing is.
And I make them a
So
handout
he actually
there.
told me what happens if we ignore the scroll, but I'm not going to tell you guys.
Ah. She hints at something that I basically said that the scrolls would cause some disasters and
So,
force them to be
You guys are in this
coming together here.
strange other individuals. Go ahead and describe yourselves to the other players.
Really? You didn't think about what you look like?
Getting them to give this information is more difficult than I thought it would be. They end up describing their characters, and I will actually go through as they're playing through this and kind of give the description here. I've got about 10 minutes to describe the characters. So first we go with Ish. Ish is a small white kobold, albino without the albinoism. He wears his old pirate captain's hat that was given to him, as well as 2 scimitars at his side and a longbow on his back. This is the image before you that has been picked. It's not completely accurate, but it is as close as it gets. Zap is a small little goblin boy. He's not very old, young even in his new clan's age standards, as goblins in Goblikar now live much longer than they did before. Zap here is wearing baggy clothes around him, with his rapier at one side. One second. My apologies. And he looks pretty accurate to the image that you're able to see before you. Ondariel is a tiefling with pale red skin. Tiny little horns poke out of the top of his head, and he looks like a mixture of a celestial being and a demonic being. His hair is kind of a black sheen that goes down, but he has a very air of flamboyance around him. Very gaudy clothes, and he keeps his fiddle at hand quite readily, with a rapier at his side. Gameth is a elemental being. He is, as I'm fixing something here on the map to kind of block the view, as they've already seen it, but kind of fixing a few details here as we go. Gurnet is one of the primordial beings who has basically he looks like a human mixed with a genie. He's got a dark, deep red skin with orangish glowing eyes and hair that seems to be glowing like it's fire itself, but isn't truly flames. He also wears noble's clothes, with an air of regality to him. He's a very regal appearance here. I'll go ahead and turn that down so you're not hearing that background noise there.
Is it a scraggly beard or a well-kept beard?
Ondario's the one they're talking about having the beard, and it's kind of patchy.
You've never seen this type of individual before.
What do I mean? Thing.
Side is just a sheer wall of cliff.
So,
So we can't go.
what's happened here is they've started to move southwards towards the entrance to the mountain that's here, and they find themselves heading down a path that leads to a river. It's low running before them, and it's not very deep, but there's a kind of up face on the other side, as Ish immediately jumps in and just starts to swim, as Ish himself is quite capable of traversing water. Same with Ondariel, as they immediately jump in and begin to make their way over there. Zap begins to struggle his way in the water before trying to climb up the other side.
Okay.
I'm gonna wave at the fire Gensi over there. Can you swim? Like. Okay. So you look up at the cliff and you see the kobold like miming how to swim.
So they're poking fun at each other's characters, as Garnet really hasn't really done much for traversing ways of water and swimming before. As the rest of them manage to get over without any issues, Ish makes a comment that landlubbers are useless when it comes to traversing waterways.
Yeah.
You get about halfway before you have to swim. Yep. You begin to struggle and doggy paddle as you flail your way across the river. Grasping onto the rope, you begin to climb your way up.
I'm gonna look over at the other sailor and just roll my eyes. Yeah, this hopeless landlubber.
They're going to basically continue poking fun at Garnet for being unable to swim. As I, frantically move the map around. Kind of
Go ahead and try.
not realizing that, stream's watching and I shouldn't be doing this so rapidly.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna continue. I don't have the map for the fucking double statues because it's more artwork than it is anything else. So you guys approach the foot of the mountain, or the statues. So what are you guys going to do? The path.
Here's where they figure out that the riddle is wanting them to head up the statues and across the way where the axes meet. So it basically, to give you an understanding of the mindscape you should be imagining, is that scene from The Hobbit, where the entire party makes it to the lair of Smog. And as I look up the exact height dimensions for how big I wanted those statues to be, they proceed to make their way through the riddle. It wants them to go up the statues, across where the axes meet, and then down the other side, which there is a path that leads ever so slightly around the edge of the mountain, hidden from view from below, where they find themselves at the entrance to the long-forgotten kingdom through a side entrance, where the riddle says, basically in layman's terms, the scene from Lord of the Rings, where you must speak friend and enter. It's the same thing. They must speak in Dwarvish or any language as long as they understand what they're reading, and Gameth ends up using a spell which allows him to read magically what it says. This allows them to decipher the dungeon, the riddle to get into the dungeon. and upon speaking friend, the doorway opens, leading them deeper inside the mountain. Now, in order to kind of cut this a little short, I end up realizing that it ended up deleting one of my maps that I had, and I attempt to go through and fix this while we take a mini break here after they get their way inside of the dungeon, only to realize that the map's no longer compatible with the Roll20, and I'm not actually able to transfer over the map as it had once been. So the session ends up ending a little early here, but for brief explanation, they find themselves at the edge or the entrance to the dungeon, and we end the session, and the party then goes on to agree on one thing. One of the things that I allow players to do at the end of each session, and including sometimes the chat joining in, is deciding whether a player deserves to be given an inspiration point. One of the things from 5th edition that allows players to use the inspiration to land critical hits, resist against spell saving throws, or any miscellaneous number of things. And Garnet ended up using a spell that really no one was prepared to have, which allows him to read text magically. It basically gives him the understanding of anything that he reads or hears. Kind of like the tongues spell, which allows him to get an inspiration point according to the whole party. And that is where we end up ending the first session. So mainly what this was going over all of the main stories here in kind of review. As we continue to try to fix the errors that have been happening, I know that this is going to go up as commentary on the failed audio that we have here. Anybody who goes back and watches this, please know that we are still a brand new D&D group to streaming online, and that all of these players are not the most comfortable playing with each other, and that the whole goal of this is to get them comfortable while also trying to create something where other people can come and enjoy. So for now, I'm going to end the commentary there. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Head over to twitch.tv/twistedteach, where we are stream every week. And hopefully we'll have all of the issues fixed by the time anybody decides to come and watch this. But for now, thank you for your patience. Thank you for watching this if you did watch it all the way through and it wasn't super annoying. And I apologize to everyone who has to go back and watch this to get any context about what's happening. Maybe one of these days I'll go through and make a mini animation or whatever it is to kind of go back and get the players to give their 2 cents on this. But for now, it's just going to be me, the DM, going through a few of the episodes that we have errors with. For now, thank you for coming to the stream of me kind of editing this, and also thank you for watching on YouTube if that's where you're watching it. But for now, bye.